We are continuing our theme of optimism as we bullet towards what's going to be a pulsating 25 season, and I've got a positive prediction for every club. These are predictions that I believe in. I'm not pulling these out of my you-know-what, but of course, every team has some optimism around it at this time of year. So let's continue with that, whether it's the team itself, the coach, a particular player. Here is your club's positive prediction for 25. It was a tumultuous 2024 for Callum Mills for a couple of reasons, as we know, with the preseason injury. Not great form leading into the finals series, and as Sydney try to go on their revenge tour, bouncing back from that epic grand final loss, Mills is going to be the one that helps them do it. Now, I don't know whether Sydney are going to be in my upper echelon of contenders. Maybe it's just some pessimism around the 23 season after the 22 trouncing, but I genuinely believe that Callum Mills is going to be back as one of Sydney's best players, top 3 in their best and fairest, and one of those guys that polls better in the Brownlow than you think of, like a Noah Anderson from a couple of years ago. I did a whole video on Jason Horne-Francis. I am buying all of my JHF stock and believe that it can equate to an All-Australian Blazer. I know that he is a polarising figure, but we finally have got a contingency of high half forwards that deserve those half forward spots. So yes, part of this is going to be on positional integrity. Can they get it right? I hope so. But if you want my inner thoughts on Jason Horne-Francis, you can click on my Jason Horne-Francis video. I don't need to recycle that content for you. You can go and watch it if it's there, but I'm backing him in. Andrew Mackie confirmed that Sam de Koning had been training as a ruckman. We saw that in the match simulation against the Hawks, and I just think that is only going to be a good thing for him. I am a Toby Conway fan, but he is always injured. They drafted Jacob Mollier and Mitch Edwards in the last couple of drafts. Haven't seen them yet, so if SDK is the next Geelong ruckman, awesome, because to be fair, they haven't really had a great one since Brad Otten's, if we're being honest. So, look, Geelong fans have been spoiled in a lot of ways. I'm not suggesting that they are hard done by positionally here, but not only do I think SDK has a really good year, could be a top 10 ruck in the competition, top 8 at the end of the season, I also think he signs a long-term extension with the Cats. I know David King is his biggest fan, but I think one of the big improvers next year is going to be Darcy Jones. Now, I'm not suggesting that he is needing to improve from a bad foundation or a bad place. It was very good last year, very exciting. I am hoping that we can see him more as a centre-forward winger. So start at the winger at the stoppage, and if GWS surge the ball forward, he will be able to add to that contingency down there, helping out Brent Daniels, Toby Green, Ollie Hannaford if he gets a game. I know Phoenix Gothard has been training really well, Cody Angove as well. But the transformation from genuine cult figure to genuine quality AFL player, I think is going to come quicker than some people expect from the kid with the lid. A lot of the Brisbane talk this season is about the back-to-back premiership. What are they going to be like without Joe Danaher, Levi Ashcroft coming to the club, and of course Sam Marshall as well. Ty Gallup, who played very well in the simulation against Gold Coast, and Collingwood. What a weird setup that was, but that's a story for another day. I actually think we've somehow forgotten about the bloke that won the Norm Smith medal not too long ago. So, whilst, yes, Norm Smith medal is fantastic, he, Bobby Hill, and of course a flurry of other players that have won the Norm Smith medal before them, I think it is still a fair statement to say that Will is not in the upper echelon of midfielders in the competition. And I'm not saying like top 20%, like of course he is. But when you look at guys like Neil, Cripps, Bontempelli, Dacos, Petrarca, all of these kind of guys, and plenty that I've missed, Sarong, Butters, etc., Goulden, all of these players are true. I'm not saying that is the entire list. I am really not. Ashcroft is still a rung below. Now, coming back from his ACL, his form was epic. That grand final performance was genuinely scary. Putting that together for a full 23 to 26 week campaign, depending on where you see Brisbane, I think we are going to see a cataclysmic rise from this man, and the Neil, Dunkley, McCluggage, Ashcroft sort of foursome there for the Lions. Best midfield in the competition. Those four can deliver this year. If you already don't think that Neil, Dunkley and McCluggage are already the best three. But I think by the end of this year, the consensus will be Will's the superstar. Plenty of other examples out there Every Bulldogs player except Bont, it feels like, have been bevoed at one point or another. One of those players who not only has not been bevoed yet, but not even started his career is Jedd Busslinger, and we just need to see him. The man averaged 19 disposals and over 6 marks in the VFL last year. Key defender, I know Rory Lobby's down there, I understand that, but Alex Keith retired. Right, what are we going to see from James O'Donnell? I'm not particularly sure. If I'm being honest, you got to get Jedd in there, highlight how good of a player he is, and get that development into him. Otherwise, it's going to be as simple as selling him for a bag of peanuts. And I know West Coast just signed Sandy Brock, but WA clubs would be fighting for him. He won't get the traction that a Chad Warner trade would, but he would be a very underrated pickup by a club. So, come on, Bevo, let's play him. I spoke about him in my All-Australian Smokies video if you haven't seen that already, so again, I'm not going to recycle all of my talking points there, but effectively, Will Day makes the leap, again, into that upper echelon of AFL midfielders, because for crying out loud, just give the man one season of health, right? He's already had a season of health. Yeah, look what happened. He won the best and fairest. Look what happened this year. Hawthorn had over a 70% win rate with him in the side last year. Yes, Sicily, amazing, very important. The Hawks have got some troubles up forward with their key forwards, which, for some reason, coming out of the match simulation, a lot of Hawthorn fans seemed surprised about. Should have watched my video on it, guys, not going to lie to you. But Will Day proves himself to be unequivocally Hawthorn's best player. If football players were stocks, I am buying all of the Jesse Motlop that I can at this point. So if you've got any, just hand it over. I loved what I saw from Ashton Moyer last year, but there is no Matty Owies there. Make or break time, and I'm going with make. I don't know how many goals he's going to come up with. I would love to see a 30-plus year from Jesse, but I just think breathing some new life into him and finally having that breakout-ish kind of season is on the cards for him. So, bugger it. Let's lock in 30-plus. A lot of the Collingwood frustration, especially with their back six last year from media, more so than fans, was Darcy Moore. I mean, the captain, so you've got to bear the brunt of it. I understand that, and how you think of his performances throughout the year. Again, he's going to reflect negatively because of the fall-off that Collingwood had. Now, I don't think that fall-off is going to be long-term, by the way. But the other guy who had a really poor year, in my opinion, was Isaac Quaynor, who just did not look anywhere near his best. But I am a believer in this man. He can play a little bit taller, a little bit shorter. He's got the pace clean below his knees. I just think this is going to be the comeback season for him, and he's going to be the guy that I think media are forgetting about. And that when he does get back to his best, or maybe even career best, the media are going to turn around and go, who saw this coming? Me. I did. Thank you. Seemed like a few overreacted to the Indigenous All-Stars versus Fremantle game. Now, I did from a positive sense with the All-Australian Smokies video, but the other thing that I kind of want to point out here is that Longmuir made a decent enough point that why would you go with your new game style in that game when they've still got match sim to go? I'm with him on that. Now, I can understand if you're a little bit skepticism about Longmuir's long-term future as a coach. This year is probably going to be make or break, but I'm going with it. I'm all in on the Dockers. I know I was with Adelaide last year, so if this falls apart, I promise you I will not have a riser in any of my content leading into the 26. But prelim final, Optus Stadium, Dockers top 4, I think they do it. Outside of my own club, I think if there was a guy I could give full health to across 25, it would be Zach Reid, taken in that 2020 draft. Now, Nick Cox has copped some criticism for his on-field performances, so has Archie Perkins. Reid was the third guy taken and has escaped it a little bit because of his body, not because of a breakout. Now, if we can get that, that would be awesome, and I think it's coming. His intercept play is very strong. I do like the fact that he starts back shoulder, which is something that I love about Sam Collins, Sam Taylor, Jacob Wiedering, and my favourite key defenders in the competition. So, Essendon, I don't really know if they're going to be like bottom 4, bottom 6, where they're going to finish. But if they can come out of this season with some positives, A, we love that, and B, if one of them's Zach Reid, I am on board. Could be a relatively boring one here with the Saints, but I'm all in on Harry Boyd at this point. Yes, they drafted Alex Dodson, I know, but he is raw. He is going to take some time. Rowan Marshall is over the age of 30. So, Where does that leave Boyd? Well, why would you sign him to automatically start him in the VFL? Marshall has had an interrupted pre-season as well, and I think a little bit like Jack Hayes before he got injured in his first season, we might be able to see a guy come from not necessarily nowhere, but the clouds from a draft point of view and impact straight away. And that's what I'm saying for Harry, and hopefully that continues into a very long career. Fingers crossed the injury is okay. I am recording this before the scans from Leo Lombard's shoulder comes back, so fingers crossed that he is okay. But from what I saw in his draft season, from what I saw in that simulation game, I'm all in and think that if he can play 18 plus games, the rising star smoky part is there, although I'll talk about someone else with the rising star a little bit later on. But the cleanliness below his knees, the ability to kick inside 50 strongly, and his footy IQ shows with his positioning around the ball as well. So, Leo, please be okay, because you are going to be a joy to watch for a very long time. If you've watched me for any period of time, you will know that I am a Matthew Jefferson fan, and surely this year is the year it comes together. I know you've got Jacob Van Rooyen, you've got him, you've got Aiden Johnson, you've got Daniel Turner. To be honest, out of all those guys, Daniel Turner may be the one that I believe in the least. I like what I'm hearing from Aiden Johnson, even though it was, and partially by me, heavily questioned with that draft selection. But Matty J is your first round option. He has been on your list now for 3 or 4 years. He has to be second in command, and I am a big believer, and fingers crossed he can get his career off to an amazing start. So hopefully we can get something like a 20-25 goal plus season from him, and he probably finishes 3rd or 4th in the goal kicking behind the likes of Bailey Fritsch, Cozzy Pickett, and Jacob Van Rooyen. And just as a side note here, Cozzy could have a career best year, drive up his trade price, and Melbourne get a win out of it when I think he inevitably asks for a trade at the end of the year. There are a lot of quality midfielders in the competition. There are a lot of quality leaders in the competition. Jordan Dawson, I think, still slightly under the radar, and I think genuinely is a outside chance of being All-Australian captain in 25. Adelaide, they need to play for Matty Nicks, and if they believe he is as good as some of the players in the media have said that he is, whether we think that as fans or not, they are going to play for him, which means there is going to be an uptick in performance, and I think he is going to be the major beneficiary of that. The silky, the smoothness, Rory Laird probably out of that midfield mix, which is just beautiful, by the way, to allow Dawson to do his thing. He and Matt Crouch combination together is pretty good. And then, of course, you've got the likes of Saligo, Isaac Cumming if he rolls through there, James Peatling, and more. Isaac Rankin's probably going to get some CBAs through there as well. I've probably forgotten a couple just off the top of my head, but I don't want to make the video too long. All-Australian captain Smokey, Jordan Dawson. Yes, please. It's an underrated sandwich, and he's copping some heat at the moment, is Reuben Ginbey after his preseason. Now, I don't want to say antics because, I mean, having a pee in public is not like the worst thing that you can do. Let's be real. But look, what happened with Sam Lawler did not look great optically. Protecting the drop zone is a defense. It's not a great one given the outcome of it. But I can see both sides there. I really can. I'm going to believe in the resilience of him, the mental side of his game, and the positional change going to half-back for a full season, meaning that I think he's still going to have a fantastic year. I am still on the Reuben train for now. We'll see how it goes, but I'm reasonably confident that he's going to have a really good year under Minnie McQualter. And just as a bonus, Elijah Hewitt, we're going to see some special things this year. Hopefully. A spoiler alert for my full season predictions video that'll come just before the season starts, but my All-Australian pick is going to be Finn O'Sullivan. He can play on the wing, he can play half forward, he can play in the midfield. This kid's just got everything that is required at this point in time. Now, maybe he won't get as many CBAs because guys like Tom Powell are coming along. Will Phillips, what are they going to do with him? But that doesn't mean that he is going to be out of position, or more so out of sorts. That versatility is going to pay dividends for he and North this year, I think. So, look, I've tipped North to improve. I'm not hiding away from that, and won't, because I genuinely think they will. I got on them to beat the Dogs when they were $4.90. They're now $3.95. So, yay for Daz. I'm already killing it. That doesn't mean they'll win, but hey, you never know. But, yeah, Foss, going to be very good. Richmond had an abundance of picks last year, as we know, so it's easy to forget that they've still got youngsters on the list that we've already seen, and one of them might be forgotten about, and he's one of my favourites, the South Australian Kane McAuliffe, who's got some of the strongest calves and quads you've ever seen in your life. Don't worry about that, but he is a bulldozer, and I think he can get early exposure, and I think we're going to go, yep, he was one that we could have kept an eye out for. Look, fingers crossed Sam Lawler comes back okay. Fractured jaw, concussion, none of those things. No player deserves those things. Josh Smiley is a little bit injured or has been a little bit hampered in this preseason already, and I think McAuliffe can step in and go from there, who hasn't had a 100% healthy preseason, but when he's on the park, I think he's going to deliver some really good things. So a breakout year from Kane McAuliffe. So there we go. One positive prediction per club. What do you think? Comment below. Let me know. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to join the Daz Talks Footy family. And I hope your week is off to a fantastic start. Thank you for watching. See ya.